Was it you? Okay. You raised your hand. Okay, go for it.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I thought to mention that. But that's the business identity being exempted from taxes. That does not mean the individual is exempted from taxes. So just to put that out there. But also last words is...
it seems as if they can't hear us. I don't think they can hear. We can't. Can you hear that, Babila?
Is to change of...
Not anymore, no.
A lot of us...
No, I can't hear them either. I think they've
we would need to
disconnected their audio.
We need to change a lot of our upbringing, the ideas around that, and it's to constantly seek out knowledge, especially in our spaces. You see something wrong, you correct someone. You say, why are you sitting like
somebody
a woman?
Just sent a comment.
What do you mean by I'm sitting like a woman? You know, it's just being conscious of, you know, how we nuance a lot of things, because these biases actually affect a lot of things, and they actually show themselves in the way we administer and implement policies. So to improve is to change, and to be perfect is to change often.
Thank you so much. So, Honorable Commissioner, over to you to address the question asked and your last.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for the question. Your question is how the gender, how we are managing gender equality amidst insecurity. I think to say that the insecurity in Anambra State is not different from what we're experiencing in the country. Perhaps, maybe there's a whole lot of media attention. I think to put that out, right? So in that case, I think it should just be a national conversation, not something specific to Anambra State. Because I live in Oka, I live in Anambra State. I was actually living.
Somebody just said I'm co-host now. Can you unmute us? Anybody know how we're co-hosts? Sorry for your confusion. How does that work?
I think you've been unmuted.
I think we're all co-hosts at this point.
Yes. Nabila, you've been unmuted, I think.
Yeah, but we're now cut off from the room.
Within their community, they are fine. So you just perhaps with cases of...
They've muted the video feed. You have to unmute the video feed.
Maybe outskirt locations in the state. Those are just almost not a true representation of what is happening in the state. So the states were doing well. And I can say that I don't think that has come up as a concern, because every community, every...
It's so strange. Morris, good to see you.
Same here, darling, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
For your appointment as the CEO for Malala Fund. How is that going?
It's good. I'm about 2 months in. So it's really good. We're doing a strategy refresh.
Oh, wow. Well done.
Self-inflicted. So I would say that
I hope our voices are not interfering with what they're doing.
Issues, and we're handling it as a state as to the best of our ability, because it was worse at the time we came in. But I can tell you that, because when we came in, we had like 8 local governments on the stage. But right now, I think there's no local government in the states that is not currently accessible, and people are doing business and moving out as usual. So I think that's just something to affirm that the state is, the insecurity is not different from what we see across the country, right? So it's a national conversation. So thank you. I don't know if that's kind of responding to your question. So, and then I think my last word will just be saying that, because we have over 100 persons here. Imagine if we all decide to pull down our biases. I think we would have saved some funding in financing of SDG 5, because everyone here is actually, we are trying to kind of manage our biases, right? Because why not just accept or treat someone because the person is, not because the person is a boy, a girl, or a gender, or you're tall, or short. People should be treated based on their merit, and an opportunity to kind of ensure that some people, almost everybody, have an opportunity to try. I think my last thing I have to say is around data, right? Because we say a lot of all those things. I hope that we get to the point. I heard that SDG Office of the Honorable Special Assistant to the President on SDG, the office has some data which we will be meeting to see how we can. Because some of these things, if we're able to measure it can help us see what kind of progress we are making, and perhaps it can help us see how maybe change strategy, maybe there are some points that we need to, some things we can do differently. So I think we might need to mainstream data. Not data on the funding, but data on the impact on some of the beneficiaries of this intervention. Thank you.
Thank you. So to the co-host and the custodian of SDG 5, Ma, you can address any of the issues and your last words. Thank you, Ma.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to answer the question. I know it's a very difficult, complicated question because it's even becoming difficult to define who is a woman. Those issues are there and we are handling them. What I would simply say is that there's a misconception or misunderstanding about the term gender. Gender refers to the roles, to the responsibilities assigned by the society, the societal expectation of who is a man or who is a woman. So gender is not hiding things under the table, like they say. It's just a misunderstanding. And what we find as difficulties is that we have to use our core funds to organize training, to sensitize people about gender. Because sometimes donors don't want to hear about just capacity building or holding sessions. So sometimes the funding and the financing is not there to explain everything about gender. For instance, my colleague was talking about taxation. Taxation, fiscal policies, they are all involved in gender-responsive budgeting. Because when we are doing gender-responsive budgeting, one of the things we ask is the source of the money. Where does it come? And I also heard somebody ask what of the women who are in the informal sector. They still pay taxes, except I don't understand the system in Nigeria, but in my country, they still pay taxes to the councils. So one thing we did was to go into disaggregation of data. So in the tax ticket, you have to indicate male or female. And so we will compile and know exactly how much money came from males and how much money came from the females. The problem was because the women pay the taxes, but the councils don't provide the services. A woman will be... GRB is a very broad topic, and I have heard the recurrent call or the recurrent saying that there is need for capacity building. I want to announce that we have started a capacity building in gender-responsive budgeting since, I think, last year or before last year. We did it with directors of the Ministry of Budget and Planning. And this time we have taken it to the states. We are training budget officers at the state level, but we've not gone round. We have done for South-South, we have done for Northwest, we are going to Southwest, and we'll come to Southeast and the other Northeast to talk about gender-responsive budgeting. My last word, first I want to thank my sister Princess and her team for putting all this together. I also thank my team too for all the work they've done. But as I leave here, I'm leaving, what I'm carrying away here is that we are working in silos. We need to work together. We need to work together. Gender-responsive planning, gender equality and women's empowerment cannot be achieved by one institution or one actor. It is something that all of us have to put our hands on deck. And the responsibilities should be very, very clear. And living here from what I've heard, government has its role to play. At the federal and the state level, government needs to take leadership, show political will, and also institutionalize gender-responsive budgeting. We are ready to provide technical capacity building, and we are also ready to help set up the GRB tools, But again, government needs an accountability and M&E framework to trace, to see whether we are actually making progress or we are not making progress. And for the private sector, what I see that has come up, they've talked about the WE policy. The WE policy may not be so open in the federal, but I want to say that the WE policy is being domesticated in the states. So that is actually going on. I also want to talk about the private sector, domestic resources, the private sector, as Professor, or is Dr. Bala? Yeah, was saying, we have seen that it has the private sector has a huge responsibility. They have to fund the SDGs, including SDG 5. But one thing I wanted to talk last time, social responsibility. We carried out a study to see how gender is being handled by this corporate social responsibility. What we saw was that this corporate social responsibility is not geared towards bringing empowerment. It's geared towards giving handouts, giving this and that. So we really have to work within this corporate social responsibility to see how they actually bring about real empowerment. And for us international donors, from what I've gathered here today, we need to be providing gender disaggregated data. In terms of gender statistics, which we are already working with MBS, of statistics. And also we need to also, what is the impact on the field? These are things the international community can do, the UN can do. Say that when we talk about 15%, it's not that we are going to have 85% for men and 15% for women. That's not what we are saying. We are saying that we need an integrated and holistic results-oriented programming, whereby in each of those programming, each of those domains, we make sure that 15% is earmarked for gender, is to have cash right now and leave education. So, but if we look in 10, 20 years to come, we will not have engineers, we will not have doctors, we will not have chemists in Anambra State. They will need to take people from outside. So that's why there is this deliberate action to actually bring the boys back to school. So 15% does not mean they will remove a whole 15% of government funding and say, this is, no, that is not what we are saying. We don't have time to do capacity building, and would have done. And the next thing we can provide is also accountability and M&E. But I sincerely want to state here, I think if the RC was here, is that the UN is not a donor. The UN is a partner. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Ma. So that's how we know custodian of SDG 5. Can we give 30 seconds to the people online for their last words? Prof. Nabila.
I'm so sorry. The last time I was muted. Yes, just to quickly bring some information to the table. In 2017, the federal government brought on stream a national monitoring and evaluation policy. But I think many people aren't aware of that policy. And again, it hasn't been institutionalized. Apart from that, the policy does not incorporate a gender component in terms of gender responsive budgeting. That is a huge gap, and so that policy needs to be reviewed. I think that will take care of some of the things that have been mentioned. Secondly, just in response to one of the questions about gender, this is where we need an intersectional approach that focuses, or an intersectional lens that actually takes the realities on the ground of different categories of men and women and boys and girls seriously and plans accordingly. 3 words stand out from what we've said today: intentional, institutional, and intersectional, towards a whole of government and a whole of society approach, but in such a way that evidence, gender disaggregated evidence, is informing all our interventions, both at the design stage and at the delivery stage. Without this holistic approach, we're not likely to go far. I want to thank all the participants and especially my co-panelists for a very enriching discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Mrs. So I think my panelists deserve another round of applause. I just want to say thank you. I will do a group photograph and we'll ask Her Excellency, my boss, Princess, to join us, and also the representative of the Honorable Minister. Ma, please join us for a photograph. Please clap for them. We know it's time for lunch.
Can we just really celebrate this panel? They've done an amazing job, the virtual panelists, the physical panelists. UN Women Rep said she didn't have enough time. We would have done full capacity building. Madam, what we have done the entire day is capacity building, because we have felt sufficiently sharpened all the knowledge that has been shared from this panel and all the speakers who have shared their thoughts with us all day, and we really thank everybody. Thank you so much. Can we see you sign up your hand for SDG 5? Yes. Wonderful. Dr. Bala Yunusa up on the stage for our, you're not doing the vote of thanks again? Oh. Thank you so much. Thank you to the panel. And of course, we are gliding swiftly to an end as we now take our vote of thanks from Dr. Bala Yunusa, MNI.
Very good afternoon, colleagues. Let me first, on behalf of the Senior Special Assistant to the President of Sustainable Development Goals, Her Excellency Adejoke Orolope Deflure. Hello. Is it better now? Oh, okay. Let me start by appreciating Her Excellency Princess Adejoke Orolope Deflure, OFR, and the United Nations Women Representative Nigeria, Madam Beatrice Eyong, for your joint leadership in hosting this strategic high-level dialogue. When the two of you met last year, early this year, and tasked us to strengthen partnership between the two offices, this is what the outcome is, and we can't thank you enough. Let me use the representative of the Senate President. Hello? Yeah. Let me use the representative of the Senate President to appreciate and recognize the support of the members of the National Assembly for honoring our invitation. Let me equally use His Excellency Malik Fall, the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria, to appreciate the United Nations Development System in Nigeria for supporting this initiative and for being here with us. Let me equally use the representative of the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs to thank and appreciate all the federal ministries, departments, and agencies that are here today with us. We appreciate your time, your partnership in this policy domain. Let me equally use the representative of the GIZ to recognize and appreciate colleagues from the Development Partners Forum that have all honored our invitation to attend this and participate actively in this dialogue. Let me use Professor O.J. Paramalam, MNI, to appreciate all our speakers and panelists for your time and contribution today. And I want to assure you your insights and reflections will go a long way in shaping and reshaping this policy space. And we will continue to count on your support and expertise as we move into implementing some of the recommendations that will come out of this dialogue. Without much ado, I would like to thank everyone from the Secretariat to our colleagues from the UN Women, led by Dr. Chukwuemeka and colleagues from the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President that have manned the Secretariat, the hotel staff that have made our stay here comfortable. We thank you very much, and we do not take that for granted. I thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thank you very much. And from Dr. Bala to myself, he has just thanked me as well. Now let us start from where the UN Resident Coordinator started when we commenced this meeting. We are on our last legs at this point. He said gender equality is not just a what? Who remembered? Who remembers? It's not just a what? It's not just a goal, but a what? A catalyst. And all the conversations that we've had today has been geared towards catalyzing everything that is possible when we achieve SDG 5. I will end on the 3 words that Professor Fumi Paramalam threw at us. She said what? We have to be what? Intentional, institutional, and awesome. Your attention has not diminished at all day, and I really, really thank everyone for staying put and being committed to the cause. So till we come your way again next time, from the SDGs office, from UN Women, from the budget office, my name is Inimfon Etuk. Thank you so much for your participation, and good afternoon. Oh, of course, lunch is the last item on the agenda. There's no way we will forget it, even if it was not written down. But it's at the main building, so do we have lunch tickets, or we can just go and eat whatever we see there? Okay, they say we should just go. So what is the directive so that we are well guided for lunch, since it's at the main building?